All right, music fans and truth seekers, welcome. Harmless Dave here talking about tonight's debate between Trump and Kamala or Kamala, depending on how you want to say it. I've been corrected no matter how I say it. So yeah, I'm doing it in real time for like two real people. And one of the reasons I've decided to again stray into politics, not that I haven't done it before recently, but because nobody is really watching the music content. 80 something thousand subscribers, and I can't survive on 1200 1300 views on a video. I can't do it. So maybe I have just exhausted that particular subject, and I'm beginning to move into other areas. So I figured with the debate tonight, it would be a good topic for some people who care. There are people that don't care, and I understand why you don't care. As I go on in life, I become more black pilled because I watch the news and they're just lying to me. I mean, I'll have conversations with my wife in the morning where I'll say stuff like, "Hey, did you just hear what they said?" And she'll be like, "No, what did they say?" Because she's tuned out. Smart that she is, she's tuned out. And I say, "Well, they just lied. They just omitted an entire topic in order to try to make their point." And this happens every time I watch the news. And of course, their slant on the news is for the establishment point of view. So tonight's debate, I can't think of a more establishment place for this debate to take place other than, I mean, CNN. Actually, CNN wasn't so bad last time, but ABC News, like the three networks, in the 1990s, they used to call it Always Bill Clinton, ABC, because that's the only thing they were talking about during the 90s. I would take the 90s, by the way, over what we're dealing with right now. So anyway, I didn't like the choices for this election cycle. I made that clear off and on this channel and a little bit on the other channel I do. Um, but clearly, I think we could have done better with both the Democrat and the Republican choice for president. With that said, some things have transpired, though, in the last 30, 60 days with the assassination attempt, which nobody in the media talks about anymore. If Donald Trump didn't turn his head just a little bit, he wouldn't be here tonight for the debate. And the Republicans would have had to scramble to find their own replacement candidate. And speaking of replacements, we were supposed to have Joe Biden running for president, and then suddenly he just left, just stepped aside, and you don't hear too much about Biden these days. It's kind of weird. I mean, he's the president of the United States. So people have some conspiracy theories about what might happen prior to the election, that they might pull the 25th Amendment. And so Kamala takes over as president. And so she has the incumbency prior to the election, and that would supposedly bolster her chances. And yes, they would definitely do that. I mean, COVID happened in 2020, and that completely messed up how people were voting with the mail-in ballots, and oh, we don't want to touch anything, and it just, I don't know, that was the perfect storm for corruption. And I'm not implying anything, by the way. Algorithm, hello algorithm, I'm not saying there was any chicanery during the 2020 election cycle. None whatsoever. Can you hear the sincerity of my voice? Anyway, so I didn't like the choices going in, but it's Trump for me. It's Donald J. Trump for president. All right. I'm a big RFK fan. I'm a big Tulsi Gabbard fan. I love those two people. I think they're great. And the fact that they are on board with the MAGA Express, good for them. And another reason to vote for Trump. Here's what tonight is really about, though. Just let's be honest. Okay. So this is about the media tonight. This is about the dog and pony show. This is about gotcha questions. Now, if Trump believes certain things and people kind of already know, they say something like 16% are undecided. Really? You're undecided. So, okay, it's either lower prices or higher prices. It's either lower inflation or higher inflation. It's either the southern border being secure or the southern border being wide open. Okay, those are your choices. They're these three issues alone. Now, I know there's this women's reproductive thing that apparently to many people is more important than having food to eat. Because there you go. Because if groceries cost more than you can afford, you'd rather worry about this reproductive thing than you would, or non-reproductive thing, in truth. You'd rather worry about that than putting food on the table, putting gas in your car. You'd rather that's more important to you because there's nothing else you could do. So you need the government to allow you to do the thing that you need to do there. That to me is mind blowing. No matter how pro whatever you are on that issue, it's just it's just mind blowing that you go down the list of issues and that's at like number 3 or 4. I'm like, okay, how about the wars that we keep doing all over the world? Nobody cares that people are being killed because we're sending weapons to foreign countries and they're using those weapons to kill people. Nobody, anybody? Bueller? Nobody. Okay. All right. So issues are more important than debates. That's I have some bullet points here. So no matter what happens tonight, and I'm not saying this because I think Trump's going to do bad or Kamala is going to do well. She may do really well, and I'll talk about this. But folks, no matter what happens at the debate, I mean, these people still believe in the things they believe in. Now, she's changed her mind supposedly on a bunch of things, but then we have that comparison. Okay, so she changed her mind on all of the things that she believes in so she can win an election. Bernie Sanders just did an interview where he said the quiet part out loud. And so if that's the case, then she doesn't have any real core belief system. And the only thing she's recognized is that in order to win, she's got to change her mind on a bunch of things. To me, that doesn't sound like leadership. And who says she doesn't just change back after she gets elected? See, we have Donald Trump during 2017, 2018, right until really the whole COVID, whatever I want to call this, the COVID crisis, right? So we have Trump, at least prior to that, and even during that, the economic numbers, they definitely went south, but some of those numbers, like inflation, did not. When Trump left in January of 2021, inflation was at 1.6%. These guys are all bragging now that they've got it down to like 3%. So it's about double what Trump left it at, and they're all like, see what we did? Okay, you did twice as bad as what Trump's worst was, I think. I don't know. But those comparisons fall flat on their face. So anyway, the media tonight is really the big winner in all this because they get to cover this stuff and they get to talk about it endlessly all day, breathlessly talk about, oh, this debate's the most important debate. No, it's not. And by the way, there were supposed to be 3 debates, and apparently this is the only debate that's going to happen because Kamala backed out of 2 more additional debates. Now, why would you do that? Wouldn't you want to let the American people know what your policies, people, or even the media? I've seen people say, she's really got to do a better job at explaining what some of this opportunity economy. What is that? Opportunity what? To fail? Opportunity to succeed? I mean, how do you get there? She's not really explaining it. So you would think she'd want more time to do that she would have town hall meetings and she would be out there doing interviews. But this is the basement strategy that Biden did the last time around in 2020, except, she did one interview with CNN, and who knows, maybe she'll do another interview before the election. But you know what? If this was a job interview, I'd be like, you got to show up. If you don't show up for the interview, I'm not going to give you the job. It's pretty simple. So she has really low expectations. In other words, again, if she fails tonight, but she doesn't fail too badly, or she does fairly well, say she doesn't make a fool of herself and she makes a couple of good points, she gets in a zinger or a one-liner. I'm sure they've rehearsed like a back and forth between her and an imaginary Donald Trump in the debate prep, because she went to debate camp or something like for 2 weeks. Yeah, debate camp. I don't know. That's what they were calling it. So I'm sure she might score a witty comeback or something. She can speak fairly well. I mean, she can read a teleprompter fairly well. She's certainly better than the current president, but that's not saying a whole lot. And then there's that whole issue of, what did you know about your boss and when did you know it? Is anyone going to ask her that? Did you know that Joe wasn't able to do his job? And by the way, let's ask the question here. Why is he still the president? And the conspiracy theory, of course, the 25th Amendment. Yeah, we discovered that Joe just can't keep doing this. That's the October surprise. And so Kamala is the new president. And I don't know, they could do it. So there are low expectations for Harris. So if she goes up there and doesn't make a fool of herself, the media will say that she won the debate. Have you noticed that gas prices recently are starting to drop? Someone says that they have released the petroleum reserves, the stuff we keep in reserve in case there's a national emergency. They've gotten it out to the marketplace in an attempt to lower gas prices. I don't know if that's true or not, but it makes perfect sense to me. So if your gas prices are below $3 a gallon now where you live, it's not Bidenomics, folks. It's I don't know what it is, but certainly people will just walk around and they'll say she's not so bad. Look, gas is $2.97 a gallon. Under Trump, it was like $1.97 a gallon where I live. For the most part, it would go up and down a little bit, but it would go lower than that. It would go higher than that. But it was always at a fairly reasonable price where I could fill up my gas tank for less than $30. And I think that's a lot better than worrying about certain reproductive issues. But apparently some people think that that isn't that important. Food, interest rates, housing, still all ridiculous. And yes, interest rates are coming down a little bit. Food, the inflation isn't as high as it used to be. In other words, food prices used to increase at 9%. Now they're only increasing at 3%. Again, the Donald Trump standard when he left office was 1.6% inflation. I've noticed that there's a lot of revising of job numbers and GDP after the fact. Like they'll put out these rosy job numbers, and then a month later they'll come back and say, "Oh, we miscounted. Actually, the job market lost 100,000 jobs, and the unemployment rate went up." People on TV, though, the pro Harris media, they're all running around saying it's historically low unemployment. Are people looking for jobs? Are people working 2 jobs? I mean, they don't really get too deep into the statistics. They just put this information out and people go, yeah, super low unemployment. And, cost of living increases finally after how many years it's happening. Yeah, and it's not keeping up with the rate of inflation. So that's a problem. Anyway, look at GDP and also look at the job numbers, because they do revisions like a month later. They'll tell you, oh, whoops, we made a mistake. That's nice. They'll make lots of mistakes prior to November, guaranteed. One good thing about Trump is he didn't blow up the world when he was president. All of these people warmonger to a certain degree. I'm using that as a verb. They all warmonger, but he seems to warmonger a little bit less, right? So I go with the guy who doesn't want to go all over the world and start wars with everybody. That's what I'm looking at here. The truth is, though, about fiscal sanity, that nobody really has a plan to tackle the $35 trillion now that we have in debt, which is incomprehensible. It's a number most people, you just can't wrap your brain around it. Trump might be better because maybe more money will come into the treasury, but then people are going to spend it. At some point, we need fiscal restraint and sanity, or the dollar, which is already in trouble, is going to be completely worthless. So that's something that we have to get under control. But again, I'm selfish. I want a good life for me and my family. So I may not be here when they tackle the debt problem or when everything collapses. I don't know. I don't know how long we have, really. It's not good, though. We have to do something about that. I think Trump puts us on better footing to start dealing with that problem. I think she basically will do everything that the war machine and Wall Street and K Street and all of the people who are really just dictating what they call the deep state. Those are the people that basically make all these decisions behind the scenes, and the president has essentially, a minor role. Like he can cheerlead or he can say, no, I don't think that's good. And then maybe they pull back a little bit and maybe he gets help from Congress. I mean, stuff isn't working the way it used to work. So all of this could just be for naught. It just could be just a waste of time. But I'm hoping that my family will benefit. I'll be able to put gas in my car cheaper. Interest rates will stay low. I mean, if I ever want to buy a different house, move from one house to another, interest rates being low might be helpful. But, people, I don't know what they're looking at personalities here again. Yeah, Trump, a lot of people don't like who he is and how he talks, and they don't think he's very smart, and you can go down the list. But, I think what put me over the edge this time was that Trump is definitely more for free speech. He would never lock you down again, I'm hoping, whereas the other one would lock you down, right? And again, I'm just going on what might be better. It may not be better in the end. I may vote for this, and then, a year later, I'm like, oh no. I mean, he just capitulated on everything. Whereas I know she's going to do these things. She's telling everybody the opposite of what she believes. And that's a bigger stretch for me than somebody who's been fairly consistent through their whole life. You can go back to like the 1980s and hear Donald Trump talking to Oprah Winfrey or whoever, and he kind of sounds like the same guy, at least when it comes to issues. Couple of other things here that are important. I still think Donald Trump is in danger. Okay, I think they shot at him once. They missed. A couple of people in the rock world said, "Don't miss next time." That was their line for everybody. And then some people got boycotted, and you had a couple of issues out there. But that's what they really believe, and I think he's still in danger. So pray for that guy that he doesn't get hit by a bullet, because it could happen. Or, I hope someone is inspecting all the food that he eats prior to him eating it. Couple of other things here. Trump is far better on the culture war. Men in women's sports and bathrooms. Yeah, Trump is against that stuff. Kamala and her buddy Tampon Tim, they're at the forefront in this evil culture war. They think this is all appropriate and normal, or at least they're trying to make it normal. And there are people out here who will not put up with it. And that could be, the last stand for the culture if this just continues. If you elect her, she's going to light up the White House in all of these colors, which, aren't red, white, and blue. Just throwing it out there. These are completely inappropriate things that are being just dumped on little children, and they shouldn't see this stuff. I mean, some adults probably shouldn't even see this stuff. I don't want to see this stuff. So anyway, folks, as far as the debate goes, any predictions at who's going to win the debate? Well, it's pretty safe to say that Kamala Harris will win the debate. And here's why. Because the media will say that Kamala Harris won the debate, even if she loses the debate. Now, she would have to have a debate like Joe Biden for them to say, uh-oh. And if she does have a horrible debate, I think it's over. I think she loses this election and Trump wins it comfortably. If they can somehow salvage it to make it sound like she tied or she did better than he did, and that perception is allowed to go out unfiltered, it could be another one of those elections where we don't know the winner for several weeks. Let's pray that doesn't happen. Literally pray that doesn't happen. That is bad for the country, and it's bad. Everybody is already just over electionized. It's just, I'm tired of this. I mean, this goes for 2 years and it intensifies during the election year, and it's just around the clock, and it depends on what you watch and what you do with your life, but it's everywhere. You get inundated with ads that you don't want to see. It hits your phone, it hits your TV, it hits your computer. We need a break. We definitely need a break from this. I will be watching this tonight, and it appears it's the only debate because Kamala said no to the other two that were proposed. If she does really bad, they may agree to bring her back for another debate. I don't know. If Trump behaves the way he did during the Biden debate, the last debate they had, he's in good shape. If he behaves like he did back in 2020 with Biden, then he could be in big trouble tonight. We'll see. But I'm thinking that no matter what happens, they're going to declare her the winner. All right. So that's my expert analysis on the debate tonight and some other issues that are important. And I think people should pay attention to this stuff. If it doesn't go your way, then you need to get busy and work in your local community to try to make life better for you and your family. The only way we're going to dig ourselves out of this is to trust God and then to get really busy about the Father's business. All right. I'm done. Thanks, and I'll see you soon.